What is going on, boys and girls? It's me, BenDPB, back with another Ben Meets, presented by, in association with Passion4FM, for all your FM needs, guides, tactics, etc. Go over to Passion4FM. They've got a couple of really good guides at the moment. Something they've got particular I'm actually enjoying and using for the first time in a long time is some training schedules. They've got a really good couple of training schedules, all grouped together in nice little folders for gegenpressing tactics, tiki-taka tactics. So if you're into your training schedules and you're as bad as it as I am, get yourself over to Passion4FM and download them over there. Now today's guest is one we haven't had on before. We've had a lot of YouTubers, we've had Twitch streamers on there. We've now actually got our first ever database league creator. It's called TheFmEditor, or FM Steve the Editor, as you used to know back in the day, or Steve the Editor. How are you doing, my friend? You alright?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, man. I'm really excited to have you on.
Yes, I think it's been, when we messaged each other a few weeks ago, it was 2 years that we...
2 years ago we saw, I'll get you on Ben Meets, and it never sort of happened, did it? But I was very keen to get you on now, because I was a big fan of yours back in the day when you used to create your transfer databases, and obviously I know you've obviously more and more now pushing towards your league database, which we'll get into in a second. Now what I want to get into is how and when did you start making your database, and also are there any other databases, transfer updates that you still do at all?
Well, basically, I started, funnily enough, in 1998, which is 20 odd years ago. But it was only for a couple of friends on floppy disk. But since I think it's FM20, I started obviously creating databases again to put on social media. But it wasn't really. I think it was only about 1 or 2 websites and a few Facebook pages. There's a story behind editing, but I don't know if we've got enough time, but I might have to. I will let you know about that story if we have got time. But
I'm a big fan of. I do a lot of transfer updates myself. I used to do my own back in the day. I spent more time doing transfer updates and manager moves. I did play the actual game. It fascinated me, just moving from club to club, etc. I was very anal about making sure they had the right amount of salary. I wanted to make sure that it was near enough to what I thought they might get in real life. I wouldn't just put it at 0. I was very anal about that. Even now I do my own updates. I was looking the other day about manager moves, and obviously I saw about Pochettino against that, so I want to find out which one of his coaches have gone, etc. And I'm very anal about it, so I know how much work goes into it. I mean, in regards to your for example, your level 10 database, there's a lot of guys that like yourself. There's Mozu, the Scottish leagues. You've also got Classen with the other leagues that he does. Just how much work goes into creating these databases, and more importantly, updating them, because you do that quite often, don't you?
Well, I think obviously level 10. I think after level 9, you've got to create the clubs and the leagues, because SI don't have them on their game. So that takes a lot of time. I was speaking to one of the guys from SI saying, that if those leagues and clubs were on the game already, the database would have been released a week earlier than it has been. But yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, really. It's just having to create those leagues and those clubs. It takes about roughly 2 weeks. There's a lot of time. I'd probably say about 6 hours a day.
Wow. Do you get much time to even play the game?
Not at the start. I think the first 2 weeks of its release, it's just editing. Normally tend to do is play the game. I'll do, say, about 3 or 4 matches, then go back to edit a few bits, then I'll go back to playing the game again.
I mean, your leagues are particularly popular with a lot, because a lot of people wait for their long-term saves. For you, don't have no pressure on yourself, but you see a lot of guys like the Loki Dokis and that guy JC, and even the guys on the Wisdom FM podcast, the 5-Star Potential podcast. Everyone's raving about you and your leagues. Do you feel at any point that may be like a little bit of pressure on yourself to try and get it out properly?
Well, sometimes, I tweet, when I find out when the game or the beta ends, I'll tend to say, right, 2 weeks, I'll give myself. It's been a strange one this year because I actually did get it out in 2 weeks. But sometimes, when I'm doing the leagues, creating them, I think, actually, am I going to get this out in 2 weeks' time? So what I'm going to do now is not tweet when I'm going to release any database, because it does obviously put a bit more pressure on me, because you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, excellent! I can start my save on so and so," and I'm thinking, "Oh, there's more pressure on me to get it out." So, but yeah, I think for FM20, I got it out reasonably quick.
Very quick.
Especially with obviously the problem that we had with the editor.
I saw that you contacted SI about that on Twitter. I mean, I didn't see the issue myself. So what was the actual problem with the first couple of patches, shall we say? What was the issue with the editor?
Basically, I think it might have been because of obviously Berry. League 1 has only got 23 teams in it. That was our first thought. And basically, what happens is when you go into the editor and you edit the new rules, or you add to the existing rules, it wasn't given any relegation or promotion. So basically what it was doing was you'd go to the leagues below the Vanarama South, North and South, but it wouldn't have how many teams were going down. So you couldn't, I think it's level 7, you couldn't set how many teams got promoted because no teams were getting relegated from North and South. But a few of us got in contact, and I think it's Mark Duffy was saying that they found the problem straight away. It was basically something to do with the Bulgarian leagues had messed it up. But the one thing I will say, obviously, if anyone is using the database, that League 1 will always have 23 teams this season on the game, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Is that just for the first season?
No, that's for as long as.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I tested it out. I got to think 4 seasons, and it was still 23 teams.
I've seen nobody mention that at all, on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere at all. I was not aware of that. I know that obviously the first season, but I wasn't aware that's something that happens further into the game.
Which, is quite a strange one, really, because obviously I don't think that's going to happen in real life.
Of course, that's why I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be that difficult for SI to create some sort of, patch or rule, shall we say, where... Because I know, obviously, I've had it before where I've made my own database, and then you try and start the game, and it tells you, doesn't it? You haven't got enough teams, or you've got too many teams. So I understand for the first season, but I'm surprised that further on you can't change that, even if it just means deleting a file, like you do the fake file in the whole edit bits, etc. of the database. That does surprise me a lot.
I can't remember. I think it was Dan Databases. I was speaking to him about it, and he was quite surprised, and I don't think he wasn't aware at first. And then I tested the database before I released my first one, and as I said, I got to the 3rd season, and it was still 23 teams. But what it does is the League 1, after the first season, it will have the 4 relegations. So the team that finishes 20th, is it not 2019? One of them still gets relegated. So, which is quite annoying, really, because if there was 24 teams, then if you finished 19th, you wouldn't get relegated. But because they haven't put it in the game, you finish on that 19th and you get relegated.
That's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, so because obviously if you finish 19th in a 24 league, you're not going to get relegated. But
of course.
But unfortunately, they've not got round to it.
So you mentioned Berry. I forgot to check. Where are Berry then in the game? Are they in any league whatsoever? Have you added them into a league? What's the story of Berry?
They are still in the game. I'm not sure if you can search them, but they are on the editor.
Do they have their whole ground and their history still? And so, can you still?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Have you put them into any leagues yourself at all? They're not in a league at all. Just out of curiosity.
No, not put them into any league. Obviously, as soon as I find out what's happening, I'll put them in the league. But we probably won't know until the end of this season.
I have like my friend. I've got a note section. I've got a long list of teams that I want to manage, and Berry is one of them. Berry's one of the things I'd love to bring them from the bottom back up. So I might add them in myself at some point in the thing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be. I mean, that's going to be. I'm not talking level 10. I'm probably talking about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. I don't want to go too far down.
Yeah.
I've not got the patience to go that far into the freaking game. But I do want to do a Berry save. There's a lot. I mean, I want to do. I've spoken to you before. I want to do a Romford save. The new owner / manager, When he came into Billericay, I thought he was fucking hilarious. He's a really funny guy. If you've seen him when he makes the guys sing a song before the game in the changing room, you watch his Twitter. He's a funny guy. You know, he's got a lot of connections and a lot of money. This is the guy that brought Paul Kincheski, you know, to the football club, and Jamie O'Hara as well. And everyone's like, what? Jamie O'Hara, Paul Kincheski? So I'm looking forward to hopefully doing a Romford save. But then, like anyone who knows me goes, I have all these ideas, but I never bring them into fruition. But that is my plan, to do either a Romford or a Bury save. Your databases, mate, they're awesome. So many people, like I said, they'll wait for your database. No pressure. Wait for your database to come out before they start their save. There's plenty of other databases out there, but everyone specifically waits for your database because they know it's going to be the best. Of course, nothing's perfect. There's always teething errors. We're all human. We always make mistakes. It's a godsend. Like I said, you've got Classic who does the foreign league, shall we say. Like I said, Mozza does the Scottish leagues. You do the English, you do the Welsh, and we've seen guys in the past, back in the day, shall we say, who used to charge people like a one-off fee or a monthly fee for their databases or for transfer updates. And now with Patreon coming in, we see more and more people like Laura, you know, What the Fuck Gaming, for example, with her face packs going to Patreon, and other people for a variety of reasons. Have you thought about doing a Patreon style thing yourself, or a donations thing, whatever it may be for your day? Because you put a lot of work into it. Let's be honest, not as if you're just clicking one button and it's done. You just said you're spending 6 hours a day sometimes doing bits and pieces. Have you thought about going to Patreon and that?
I actually have a Patreon running at the moment. I did actually have quite a few people subscribe to it, but unfortunately they stopped. I do have a donations page, which is obviously in the description on my Twitter. I mean, it's something, you know, charging for databases. It is something that's been brought up in the last year or so by people private messaging me saying, look, why don't you charge, even if it's like 50p a database? You know, it is something I have thought about, but the problem, you know, I see is if you charge, you've got another person who's doing near enough the same, doing it for free. So, you know, what would people do? Would they see that and think, well, that's free, I'll go to that, instead of having to go and pay for one? It's one of those tricky ones, really.
It sounds like it. I mean, it's just, I wasn't aware you had a Patreon. I followed you on Twitter now for a number of years, back when you were FM, was it Steve the Editor? 85, was it? What was you on Twitter?
FM Steve 85.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any benefits of being a patron of yours, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it in obviously stages. So, you know, if you donate, if you subscribe £1 a month, you get the database first before anyone else. I think £3, you can request a database to be made. And I think £5 was you get the database first, and you can request a database to be made. I'm not too sure what it was, but I will have to look into it again. So
I would, because Patreon is becoming more and more popular now. You know, we see Lelujo, Loki Doki, Bood FM. A lot of these guys are doing particularly well with their Patreon. I knew you put a lot of work into it. I wasn't aware you put quite so many hours into making the database and making other databases. So it's nigh on a full-time job by the sound of things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I will probably get round to having a look at it again and obviously see what I can change for the perks, as you said. The way I've looked at it is, you know, with myself, a YouTuber can put somebody into the game.
Good point. Yeah, very good point.
Or, you know, at the end of it, each video, their name will be on the end of it. So that'll be something that I would look to myself. And I've said before, you know, I could do something where I could create yourself. So if you subscribed, I could put you in the game. But then you've got to try and think, well, I've got to try and keep the database realistic.
Of course, 100%. I agree 100%. 100%. It gets to the point that it just becomes a fantasy thing, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And it just sort of, one of the reasons why a lot of us love your updates and love your databases and the game is because it is realistic. Sounds a bit over the top, but do you know what I mean? There's like an immersion, and that's why a lot of people like having the kits and the logos and the face packs, because it gives it that bigger sense of realism. It gives it that immersion, so we say, like you might get in a Fallout when you download certain things to make the game feel a little more immersive. And that's exactly how I feel about FM. When I'm playing FM sometimes, I've done it before where I shit you not, I've sat there having my own interview. I'm just talking to myself like I've been interviewed by Chris Kamara or something. Do you know what I mean? And I've sat there talking to myself like tactics that I want to do and stuff. And I sit there on the bus writing things down on my phone and that about it. And it's such an immersive game. Yeah. So you're right. If you were to start putting people into the game, it starts to become a little more FIFA-esque. And let's be honest, if you want to play FIFA, go play FIFA Career Mode. FIFA Career Mode is for a reason. We're all here for FM because the game's that good.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. I completely understand what you mean about putting people into the game itself. I suppose it's different what Loki Doki does, not Loki, what Boo does, because Boo will just rename one of his regions after you. He won't actually create you the game. He just rename one of his regions after you. So I completely get what you mean.
To be totally honest with you, I used to do it when I was a little bit younger. I used to put myself in the game and I'd give myself 20s for everything.
Oh, we've all done that. We've all done that. Anyone who says I haven't done that using the database is a f***ing liar. We've all done that to see how it goes on and how we get on. And we've all done that. So you're not alone, mate. Don't worry about it.
Because the thing was, I used to give my player to, say, like a lower league team and hopefully get a really massive bid. And I would sell that player straight away and have lots of money for them. And then I sat in and got to the point where I thought, hold on a minute, this is just unrealistic. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to go back to, I probably will go back to having a look at Patreon and see what I can do. Because it's pretty crazy at the moment. People message me saying, oh, have you got a donations page? Have you got Patreon? Have you got this? I want to, donate money to you. And I think, I appreciate people doing that. But I still find it pretty crazy that people are giving their hard-earned money across to me just because I'm clicking buttons. And
so you've been in the FM scene for a little while. Not that I'm saying you're old or anything, but have you ever thought about, have you ever done previously the content creation side of thing, the YouTube, the Twitch, the blogs, or whatever else it may be?
Yeah, I mean, I used to do. I've still got my Twitch channel, which I've obviously not done for a while. I did a little bit of YouTube, I think, about a year or two ago. One of my saves was an Arsenal save. I think it was Gonna Win the League.
That's a good name. Good name.
Yeah.
Generally, I quite like that. Good. That's actually a pretty good name. I like that. I'm definitely going to steal that name now for an Arsenal save.
I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was FM20. He found it quite funny and amusing. I don't know if it was in a good way.
No one do, but probably not.
Yeah, we had a bit of joke about it, and I just thought, oh no, I can't do YouTube at the moment. I've had a few people saying, look, can you do some sort of tutorial videos on how to edit?
I would be fascinated just watching you do database on Twitch. There's a guy called JHF Gamer who's actually quit Twitch. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy, but he used to do like a draft series on Twitch where it's like a network save essentially.
Yeah.
And he used to edit the database on Twitch. And I used to sit there and watch the guy and be fascinated with what he was doing. Do you have many requests, or have you had any requests? I know you've had requests for tutorials, and I know Bood, for example, Bood FM's done tutorials in the past about how to create teams. Have you had many requests in the past for people to watch you on Twitch, or am I just the only sad bastard thinking about it?
I think it was for FM13. I did a few streams on transfer deadline day, and it got quite a few, views. People were coming in and they were quite fascinated, and they were actually getting involved in the chat saying, oh, this player's moved to here, and I'd be like, right, brilliant, and I'd do it right in front of them. And obviously I'd say on the stream, has anyone else got any transfers that I might have missed? Somebody in the chat, blah, 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 has moved to here. Okay, brilliant, do it. So yeah, it was something obviously that people could see that I was doing. But, I always get to the point where I think is people just going to get bored of just seeing, the editing screen, nothing's really going on much.
No, I get that. I mean, I'm not going to lie, although I'd be fascinated, I probably could have sit there and watch it every day. Do you know what I mean? So I completely get that. It is a very niche thing to sit there and watch someone database edit. But I suppose if you could do age control, as you said, that would sort of hit both markets, wouldn't it? Because if you could sit down and watch how you create a team properly and how you... another one is like people not knowing the difference between a managing director and a director and a chairman and an owner, because there's a variety of different options. And I was creating a team the other day, and I was like, so what's the difference between a chairman and a managing director? And I scoured YouTube, and I really couldn't really find anyone that explained if there was a difference or what the difference was. I wasn't sure which was which. So I'd be interested in seeing someone, whether it be yourself or whoever, do an in-depth tutorial. I know Boo did one very good where he quickly went through what it was. I think he had like a Halloween save of a Monster FC or something. But it's something that I think myself and other people would be involved in, especially when we see like Create a Club now. We've seen guys like Lelujo do Home FC. We've seen Regen Rovers and a variety of other things from Golden FM. So I think it could be something that could be, as you probably just implied there, a one-off thing rather than a weekly stream or even a daily stream. So I get your point.
It is something, I want to get back to doing, definitely Twitch. But it's funny, really, you should say that, because this last week I've sat there and thought, shall I really get back into YouTube? Shall I actually give it a go, do these tutorials? And I think, really, thinking about it tonight, somebody asked Kev Lujo how to install the database so they can play it, and Kev was like, "Oh, there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube." And I actually searched it, and I thought there isn't as many as I thought there would be, and a lot of them are quite old.
You'd be surprised how many, how few tutorials are on there for do the basics. I mean, we've seen Fox the Box do his FM101 videos. Yeah. I think there is a niche market out there for the basics about how to start a new save. Do you know what I mean? Because you got to bear in mind, we should everybody's playing the games as Championship Manager 94. Do you know what I mean? But some people, haven't played the game for 5 years, or they're just buying the game now, and that also goes for some people have never touched the editor, because it scares the out of them.
Yeah.
So you're right. So you just assume that there's loads of videos out there, they're all brand new videos. But you're right, they're probably 4, 5, 6 years old. And I went to the editor the other day for the first time at FM20, and it's already completely different to FM19. There's a whole running test now to see if the leads work. I was like, what the f*** is all this all about? And you're right. There are videos out there, but either not very good quality or they're 5 years old, and the whole landscape has changed and the whole things change, hasn't it?
Yeah, because it's funny, there's a few things really, like I get a lot of people messaging saying, oh, how do I do this on the editor? And if I'm not actually at my computer, my mind goes completely blank. And a lot of the time somebody will say, how do you change this? And I say, I need to be in front of my computer. Like, I'll message you later. Like
me, like I did to you, didn't I? I messaged you going, mate, what the f*** is all this? Wasn't it about, I think it's like the managing director or something, was it? I messaged you going, what the f*** is all this about? What do I do? And I looked online, I looked on the forums, I couldn't find anything at all.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one messaging you.
Another thing as well, because I had an argument with somebody on Twitter a few months ago.
I love an argument. Tell me more.
Well, basically, it was I was having a bit of problem with one of the leagues. The rules wasn't working, and somebody, I've never even spoke to this guy. I didn't even know he was following me. He was like, "Oh, you should try the advanced rules." I was like, "Yeah, I'm aware of what the advanced rule is," and that was it. He was just like, "Oh, you're not a proper editor. You haven't used the advanced rules." And I was like, "Whoa." The thing with the advanced rules is, it is a fantastic tool. You can do a lot with it. But if you don't get that little thing right in the advanced rules, it will mess up the game completely. And it takes longer than obviously the normal standard editing rules. So if you went into the advanced rules to change a cup, you have to get it right to a T. So he was saying, "Oh, you're not using it," and I was trying to explain to him, "Look, the advanced rules, blah blah blah. I know how to use it, but it takes a lot of time." And blah. He's like, "No, you don't know how to use it. You're not an editor." And I was just like, "Oh, where's this all come from?" So I was just like, "Right, block you."
Well played. I've never even heard the advanced rules, so the fact that it's in advanced rules, I ain't gonna touch it because I can better do basic than advanced. But the guy is just obviously been a bit of a douchebag. Do you know what I mean? let's see him put the amount of time and effort that you do and Mozza does and Klassen does into creating databases, and then maybe he can come back with an opinion. But when you're just an armchair fan, shall we say, to have a dig, it's like, f*** off, mate.
I literally didn't even know he was following me. I clicked on him. I think he only had about 5 followers, and a lot of the stuff that he was tweeting I was just like, whoa, I've never even seen this guy before. And I was just like, oh no, I can't put up with it anymore, so I just blocked him.
FM20 is here as we do it. Hopefully, I've seen you start a Scottish save, but is that going to be your long-term save for FM20? Tell us about who it is and what your plans for the save are.
Well, it's Gretna 2008. People are not aware who Gretna 2008 are. The early, should I say noughties, early 2000s, they started in Division 3 because they're actually an English team, or they're just on the border. They rose from Division 3 to the Premier League and got to the Scottish Cup final and lost on penalties to Hearts. And they had a millionaire owner. Unfortunately, he passed away whilst they were in the Premier League, so the club obviously couldn't afford the wages. They couldn't afford to rent the stadium that they were playing at. I think it was Motherwell. So they went bust, got sent straight back down to the lower leagues in Scotland. And then in 2008 they formed again, Gretna 2008, and I think since 2013, FM13, I've always been Gretna 2008, but just can never get out of the Lowland League. That's always my first save now, is Gretna.
So in 7 years, you've been trying to be this team and you still can't do it, no?
Yeah.
That sounds actually pretty cool, to be fair.
Well, the funny thing is,
are you throwing the challenge out now to everyone else to try and do what you couldn't?
I think Mozza he's a club in the Lowland League at the moment.
Is it like Glasgow BSC or something like that? Yeah. Mozza, not to suck him off, I like Mozza a lot. He's a really nice bloke,
Yeah.
I tend to suck someone off every episode every time I watch his back, but Mozza, I've got a lot of time for the lad. His streams are very, very good. And anytime someone puts the effort that you guys do to create a database, I have the utmost respect for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But Glasgow BSC, I think he's wearing a Glasgow BSC top. I saw his Twitter earlier. Do you have a Gretna 2008 top at all?
No, it is something that I will try and get at some stage. But obviously, going back to Mozza's game quickly, I think he was somebody else on the beta, and they got promoted into League 2. Because obviously you couldn't be them in the beta, so he took over when they were in League 2, and I think he's got to the Championship now, I think. So hopefully that's what I can do with Gretna, but yeah, it's taken me a long time.
We're going to get to a part of the show now that I really enjoy. It's basically spitfire 11 questions at you because of, 11 men in a football pitch, and just quickly answer as quick as you can and as honest as you can, alright?
Yeah.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Who do you support?
Arsenal.
FIFA or Pro Evo?
Pro Evo. Favourite
film?
Terminator 2.
Favourite TV show?
I'll have to skip that one.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Dickhead. Attribute masking, on or off?
I'm going to be controversial and say off.
I have it off as well. 2D or 3D?
3D.
Oh, I'm a 2D man. I'm old school. But anyway, that's not about me. Who's your favourite content creator apart from myself, of course?
Oh, that's really hard.
Give me a blogger, YouTuber, stream, whatever you prefer.
I'm going to have to skip that.
Regen or new gen?
Region.
Club versus country?
Oh, country.
I'll tell you what, in replace of favourite content creator, stats or attributes, what do you call them?
Attributes.
Good lad, good lad. I've heard that. I've seen that quite a lot on Twitter recently. People are arguing over stats or attributes, and I call it attributes as well.
This is going to hopefully people might have an argument about it, but I don't understand how you can say, like, if you look at a player and he's got 5 for first touch, how is that a stat?
Exactly that. It's not a stat. It's an attribute, isn't it? A stat is what you've done.
Yeah, a stat is your appearance and goals. Surely.
Exactly. I like listening to the 5-Star Potential pod when they get into a bit of a tyrant about that, and it's quite funny hearing them talk about it. But anyway, that's me, BenDPB, with another episode of Ben Meets in association with, presented by Passion4FM. Again, not just spitfire at you, but for all your FM needs, head over there. And again, honestly, download the training schedule. You will not be disappointed. It's been an absolute godsend for me. There's a variety of things from team schedules where it works on your teamwork, your park the bus, the chance creation. So, for example, what I did pre-season was I didn't do pre-season training. I basically spent the whole 4 weeks working on teamwork. So by the time my season started, all the guys were perfectly gelled. The team cohesion was great. Everyone was happy to go. That's what I did. But if you want to give yourself a shout out again, mate, with all your YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Grindr, Plenty of Fish, Tinder, all that stuff you've got, mate, feel free to.
I'm lost for words now. Yeah, obviously the Twitter's FMEditor85, and Instagram is the FMEditor. I think that's the only two, really. Nice one.
I'm so glad to finally get to talk to you because I've been a bit of a fanboy for a number of years. So ever since FM Steve, I've been a bit of a fanboy. So I'm glad to finally get to talk to you.
Well, you could have found me on Grindr, mate.
I'll hold you to that now, son. Don't tell the wife though. If you need any of your databases, lad, especially the English one or my personal favourite, the Welsh one, I didn't realise how in depth it was until I downloaded it. But the Welsh one's a particularly good one. But if any time you need yourself a decent, and I mean decent, database, make sure you give Steve a follow on Twitter and make sure you download his little updates for him and let him know that Ben sent you over. Without any further ado, I'm going to bid you all adieu. Do you want to say goodbye, Steve?
Yeah, goodbye.
See you later, boys and girls.